Because love is lying. Love is lying.
Just think about it.
That's
Love,
what we need the most.
they're lying.
That's what I need the most.
I noticed love to dress that old body up and make it look good and look in the mirror. I know they love to do that.
Oh, it's Kamarian's birthday.
Happy birthday!
He said, "Hey, Shay, my birthday today."
Oh, look good there.
He already, I heard, think he think I'm finna catch him.
Oh boy. Tell me he could have came to the study. They in class today, yeah.
What's the day?
Friday. Yeah, in school. So he text you from the school. Go ahead, come on. They ain't text granddad or said nothing. They ain't studying granddad. Everybody loves Shane. I wonder did him and his girlfriend get back together. Did they get one?
He never called for that.
No, there was a nice looking couple together. But we all done been there and done that. Oh.
Yes. A little bit lying. Peace and love to all.
Mm-hmm.
Off the screen. Let's see. We getting ready to pull our instructions up. Start at about the 2:30. Let's see. Yeah. Type of studies. Right. Yes. Ready to open the meeting. And we have a divine, and that's to understand and know thyself clearly. And if you know thyself clearly, will guide yourself forward. And so in this world, we all need a creator. As we open up in the name of the divine creator, Al-Sufian, we're going to bring in. It's so much to reveal. Y'all, I hope there's been political shit. There have been transfer and distributions of wealth. All this going over your head. You just watch TV. This thing is going down. And if you ain't placing yourself in position, you're going to be out of position. Something is transpiring. In these times, we're in some beautiful times. But the one without knowledge, you won't know what time it is. Start with some love. You see, especially if you're a man, a male today in today's time, you better know you ain't got nothing but what you would call, in your term, God. And my divine creator, his true name. And that's been a long search for a quest. So we need to understand that in 8, no love is greater than the love of all to all who believe. Everyone needs, especially the male, because you've always been on the bottom. You've always been maltreated. You've always been underlooked. You always. So we want to understand there's a love greater than any man and woman love that you could receive. This is equivalent to that he that is greater within. There's something great in all of us, but we can only tap into it through love. So that's a sufa to make us understand how important Allah's love is. Allah's love. Our 22nd instruction. Oh yeah, we can be on chapter 22, instruction to 22.
Chapter 22. This will be a good topic today. Reality of death. When people hear the word, they become sad. When they hear the word death, or maybe wherever they might be being, and they catch you in all time in different situations, and just upset you, especially someone real close to you, someone you love dearly. So we're gonna learn a little bit about that today. Topic: the reality of death. Sadly, for many, of death is unknown. It is thought of as an end. Far from it. Death transition from the material dimension to the immaterial. It is a trans. You heard those saying, you can't take it with you. Well, that's a little of that right there. Break the news down. And some people waste and yield all the years of their life trying to obtain as much as they can of the material world. I mean, as much as they can, and don't believe in sharing. We talking about money, cars, homes, whatever it'll purchase. But what if you been spending all your life in the material dimension and didn't prepare for the immaterial dimension? Oh boy. It is a transformation. With death, the person leaves his material body and continues to live with his whole radio wave body, i.e., spirit in the grave or beyond it. In short, death is the end of life with the material body to commence a life with the spirit body. Commence. Commencement. You probably can recognize that when they're getting ready to go on. Quran brings clarity to the process known as death with the following verse. Every individual consciousness will taste death. Every individual. In parentheses, without a biological Quran 3, Surah 3, Ayat 185. Death is the level of waves. Ain't that beautiful? Holographic radio wave. When the brain ceases to function, the electromagnetic energy, which keeps the spirit connected to the body, stop being supplied, causing the spirit to detach and continue its life independent of the body. This is the event we refer to as death. Now, is that beautiful or not and powerful? We should be forever grateful. Just to give such a beautiful gift. That's all I can say. Since everything that occurs in the brain throughout one's lifetime is uplifted to the whole body, as television waves, as through all the person will continue his life as the spirit without feeling any different. He will live as the spirit and won't feel any difference in terms of his continuity of his life, albeit for one exception. He will not be able to use his physical body despite being completely alive and conscious. Ain't that beautiful? Because they never come about again that we see. Say, hey, I'm back again. It will be as though he is in a coma or in a vegetative state, whereby he can see here, whereby he can see, hear, and perceive everything that is happening around him. Yet, he is unable to show any response. In his acclaimed Mari name, Ibrahim Haki Ezurama narrated about this in the words of Muhammad. The deceased wishes and shriveled his body, who partakes in his funeral prayer, who put him down in his grave, and who offers condolences. Isn't that beautiful? And power. The warning: do not beat your chest and cry out loud near your dead, as by doing this you will be torturing them. It is again alluding to the fact that the deceased are able to hear and become grieved by all the mourning. Good goodness alive. Perhaps the Bukhara collection of Hadith comprises the most explicit narration in clarifying the reality of death and life after death. There are many hadith affirming that the deceased, though unable to use his physical body, will be aware and conscious in the spirit and will be able to perceive all that transpires around him. Here is an example. Narrated by Taha Ra, R.A. The day of the battle of Badr, Rasulullah, peace be upon him, ordered us to gather the corpse of 20 of K.O.S. notable men and throw their bodies down a dirty well, as if the dirty well had gathered more dirt. It was Rasulullah so accustomed to spend 3 nights on the field of battle once he was victorious over the enemy. So on the third day after the battle, Rasulullah saw for his camel. He tied his bag to the camel, and Rasulullah, peace be upon him, began to walk as we followed him. The men talked among each other, trying to guess Rasulullah saw was going. Finally, he stopped by the well in which he had thrown the corpse and called out to them with their father's name. Go search and search. O Abba, Ja'id Hassan, O Yubba, Id Rabia. If you have believed in and obeyed Allah and his Rasul, would you have been happy now? One. We truly found the victory promised by Allah. Did you also find the victory promised by your Ra to be the truth? Upon this, O my Rasulullah, peace be upon him, O Rasulullah, why do you talk to the corpse who are dead? Rasulullah, peace be upon him, answered, by the one in whose hands the soul of Muhammad is, you do not hear my words better than they do. As can be seen from his hadith, Rasulullah, peace be upon him, is trying to correct a big misunderstanding regarding death. No other hadith can correct the misconception that people are dead when placed into their graves and will only be resurrected back to life on doomsday. That's where 90% of people. Indeed, people will be aware and conscious, able to hear everything that is told to them, just as they would if they were outside. The third Khalifa, Osama bin Affan, stood near his grave. He was crying till his beard got soaked. Woo-wee. Someone once said to him, do not weep when you hear about heaven and hell, but you cry and fear of the grave. He replied, I heard Rasulullah, peace be upon him, say, the grave is the first station of the afterlife. if one is able to pass this station, the rest of his journey will be easier. But if one cannot pass this station, the rest of his journey will be much difficult. Can you imagine this a moment? Just think of that. But can you imagine and you feel the effect from this reality? And it's been surely difficult. I mean, you it's catching hell left and right. Can't do nothing and won't nobody follow him. And can you imagine if it's this difficult? And you can maybe try to do something about it while you're living on this side, but to go and your work ain't been done and finished. Now, the price to pay. Then he added, Rasulullah said, I have never encountered a scene more frightening than that of the grave. Standing before the grave of one of Islam's most distinguished martyrs, on hand, Rasulullah said, this eminent soul for whom the throne, Arsh, in parentheses, trembled and the gates of the heavens, plural, opened and thousands of angels descend. Even he fret so much in his grave was almost going to cry. If anyone were to escape from the torment of the grave and the anguish after death, this would have been possible for some first. Though here he was swiftly released. Something. I don't think it was that material world because like that because it can't do so much. But it's something that he had did while conscious. Put it right there. And if you ask people with a listening ear, where would they stand if death overtake them today? Let us not have a think if the person isn't in his grave. Could such think about it. But see, people don't even think about that. You think about what they said, well, when the trumpet sound, all gonna raise up and to be judged and all this here. How you go hear the trumpet? There's something ain't going on.
Right. The context.
Oh, I'm dead. I can't hear nothing.
That's the funny part.
it was asked to Rasulullah, O Rasulullah, which of the believers are more intelligent and more conscious? He answered, those who remember the reality of death most often and who prepare for the after death most prudently. And you should love that word and I started playing it once I learned it. And it means wise thought before act. We have better word than people to just be more prudent. Indeed, they are the most intelligent and conscious ones. Look at that. Look at that. And so you tell me, so when I read that, I stop a moment and I think about all the people who are surrounded, what makes up the USA, and I'm looking at prudent. I have the scale of prudent in my hand, and I'm looking at the activity. And man, all we see is killing. And they ain't killing birds and animals. You know, they killing precious life. Like it ain't nothing. I ain't never seen it like that. I've been around 73 years. I ain't never seen this kind of killing. And everybody cool with it. And the leaders of the country, of this country, cool with it. And the senators and the congressmen and all the parties cool with it. Cool with the killing. Let us move right on. In yet another narration, he says, the most conscious and prudent one is he who subject his soul to the divine law and engage in deeds that will benefit him in the hereafter. The important who is he who follows his desires, then hope for the salvation from Allah. I want to back up just a little bit here and read this one more time. It says that the most conscious, talking about the people who you all that's around you, the most conscious and prudent one is he who subject his soul to the divine law and engage in deeds that will benefit him in the hereafter.
Yeah, the gravity point.
Yes, indeed.
And that message for me right there.
Yes, indeed.
And that's what I
Yes,
about.
indeed.
Divine law.
Yes,
Nothing
indeed.
else.
Yes, indeed.
Nothing else worth worrying about.
Yes, indeed.
As long as you ain't break no divine law,
Mm-hmm.
you ain't did nothing wrong to nobody.
Sure enough.
People will make you feel like you did them wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't understand divine law, you would think you did someone wrong.
That's right.
And you can be sucker punched.
That's right.
Because the younger you are, the more sucker punch you are. especially how everything moving fast now.
Yeah. And I would also like to point out before I read any further that what we have today, and they got what the system is operating on, and they call it the Department of Justice. I want to say to the people out there on the internet land that that's not divine law, that's his law. And that needs to be said into. And my son said it best. We should be focused on divine law and nothing else. And all this other crookedness, you can't live under it. You can't even operate under it. Every turn you take, you're breaking his law. He have over 1 million, I think. Yep, 2 million laws. Sooner or later, they have a law where you can't pass gas. IBN Masood, one of the followers of Rasulullah, peace be upon him, says, I had heard Rasulullah, peace be upon him, say the sinners will assuredly be tormented in their grave. Fight. Boy, when I think of tormented, I ain't thinking about a little pain might hit you in your foot or in the side every now and then, hit you in the neck. That's just one spot. But sometimes people have pain. Say, well, where you hurting at? Torment. Ooh-wee. All over. Abu said, Al-Hudri narrated, I heard Rasulullah say, the denier will be tormented by 99 dragons that will sting and bite him until the day of judgment. I mean, one would be sufficient, but boy, look at 99. If only one of these dragons were to be born on earth, live again. Ibn Omar narrates, Rasulullah said, when a person dies, his place, whether it be heaven or hell, will be shown to him every morning and every evening. He will be told, this is your place until the day of judgment, when you will be resurrected. You will be here. Another interesting note is the statement of Bathar and in resurrection, it does not say resurrection after doomsday. It evident, but resurrection is an event that occurs after death, not after doomsday. We live in this world with our physical bodies and the spirit body that we simultaneously produce. The eminent Islamic scholar and Sufi saint Imam Ghazali explained the name Al-Ba'ath in his construction of the most beautiful names as the following. Many fall into misconceptions in regard to this topic and then try to justify their belief, saying things like, this is nothingness, resurrection, Bob, is to come back to life after becoming in existence, just like the first time we are brought to life. First of all, to think death is nothingness is incorrect. Secondly, to assume resurrection would be like the first time is also incorrect. To think of death as nothingness is wrong because the grave is either a pit of hell. Now, think on that a little bit, because I don't want to read too fast. Think on that a little bit. I got to think on it. Who have been illuminated to the essence of reality, know and understand with insight that man has been created for eternity. Never can nothingness. That's correct. Yet times the connection ceases with the body, and then they say he has died. Sometimes the connection is given back, and they say he has come to life. Those who think resurrection will be like the first creation have been there. For resurrection comprising act of creation much different to that of the first time. In truth, man resurrects many times. Not only once, twice. See, that would go higher knowledge, knowing a little bit more, you know. You see what I'm saying? That's why you got to study. You want to learn study. When one tastes, your body will dissolve and the soul will resurrect and continue to live in the grave until doomsday. When doomsday occurs, that the instant that the earth is engulfed in the radioactive heat of the sun. And finally, our body would also be resurrected appropriate to the environment to which they will go. Will we work with the same mind and perception mechanism we have here in our grave? In regard to this, Abdullah bin Omar narrates the following. When Rasulullah, peace be upon him, was talking about Munkar and Nakir, the two angels who were called a person to account in his grave. Hadrat Omar asked, are we going in our grave, O Rasulullah? Indeed. Exactly as you are today. Rasulullah answered. So what happens when a person is conscious and yet whose body has become dysfunctional is placed the grave? Let us see how Allah has to say about this. If the person who is a believer, he will say, I bear witness that Muhammad is Allah's servant and Rasul. Then they will ask, look at your place in hell. Allah has trained it into paradise for you. From that point on, he will see both in hell and the place he will go into heaven. Or a hypocrite disguised as a Muslim, he will say, definite opinion. I only know of what others used to say. They will say to him, you have failed to recognize and to know him, and then will hit him with such intensity of creation except man and the jinns will hear his anger. I don't know. I don't hit my own self with a hammer. Trying to that didn't feel too good. That's a pretty good lick. But just imagine being struck by a hammer and you feel the blow. Let us now end this topic with a final hadith. Each one will be tormented by relatives and friends. There are many more warnings of Rasulullah, peace be upon him, pertaining to this topic. Those who are interested may consult the appropriate hadith books. The point is, the person does not die. He experiences death. To experience this is to lose control over one material body and with a sort of holographic wave body term spirit. Therefore, everyone who is buried is fully, and they will exist in this state until doom, which they will be equipped with according to the environment and condition of that time and place. Hmm? Beautiful. What happens when death is experienced? As we said, the person continues to perceive the world around him. He hears and sees everything that is spoken and done in his immediate. He hears the lamented, the crying, and all that of his relatives. Give him a heart attack. Right there. At this stage, he is in a vegetative state. He perceives everything, but is unable to show any response whatsoever. You heard, because I ain't talking with nobody that's been in the country, and they said they hear everybody talking going on, can't say nothing, can't move, and the machine going big, and can't talk. Precious speaking in. He perceives everything, but is unable to talk whatsoever. Then the time for his body to get washed. Why do the deceased get washed? Question. My understanding of the to the washing the corpse is related to the bioelectric energy. That is osmosis. The bioelectric energy of the body becomes reinforced so that its life continue at the molecule level, as the person is unable to keep a connection, even if one way, with the world a little while longer. The dimension of life pertaining to the period between death and judgment day is determined by the real of Barzakh. This period is divided. The rim of Barzakh. A. The light of the grave. Card. B. The light of the rim of the grave. C. The light of the A. We're gonna start with A. The life of the this stage of life and is resurrected as the spirit, the holographic wave, body, and goes on as a person continue to perceive things as matter in the grave. The person continues to hear and see everything before and after he is buried in his grave. This is similar to going to bed but still being awake and able to perceive everything, to stiffness or softness, etc. Just like this. He will initially be able to see everything that in his grave. And just like before, we fall asleep when we seem to be in a semi-sleep state. We can still hear what is going on around us. Begin to see dreams like things. The deceased will also continue to perceive the outside world while getting ready to make the transition into the realm of the grave.
A lot taking place.
Well, I mean, I'm just back on this intro because I'm thinking as a reading, and this is just the life of it, and then you got the B, the life of the grave. This is when the two angels, the realm of the grave. This is when the two angels will come to call the person, asking him, who is your Ra? Who is your Nob? What is your book? Note that the person will, that people will be questioned about their religion, sect, and Sufi order, etc., are clearly in religion. There is no verse in the Quran nor any hadith about being questioned about one's religion, sect, or order. Such establishment were formed after Rasulullah, his peace upon him, transitioned to the realm of Bazaar. These terms are not even recognized in Bazaar. After being held to account, the person progresses to either the realm of the grave or so what is the difference? B. The life of the realm of the grave. This realm is very similar to the dream world. The person is that he is dreaming and continue to evaluate things as though he is living in the world. The life in the realm of the grave will be perceived as real. This world is perceived when one lives here. This life can either be the grave or heaven, or peaceful, and dream. Or be the grave of hell, and compromise, terrifying, and agonizing nightmare. This state of existence continues until doomsday. This is the life of the grave of those who are confined to their graves, reverenced by Rasulullah, peace be upon him. The grave of the deceased would either be a garden of paradise or a pit. Other than this is also the life of the son. C. Of Bazaar. This state is independent of the restriction and pertains to saints, Wallah, Nabis, and those who were martyred in the name of Allah. In short, it is for those who were able to die before dying. In the realm of Bazaar, the martyr, the saint, Wali, and Nabis are able to freely roam about and, depending on their ranks, interact with each other. There is a hierarchy in this realm by which the people there are administered. I have in the mystery of man in the chapter about Rajala God, the meaning of the saints, Wali Bazar, who are able to self-conquest while on earth, will be able to make contact with the people. In contrast, those who are able to acquire K.O.S, self-destruction, but not that, despite their an unconstrained state of it, will not have the opportunity to make such contact. Hence, the person will continue to live after tasting death, either in the grave or dependent on his rank in Bazaar. Such is the awaiting us on the other side. How about that, y'all?
That's it.
How about that, y'all? Now what you gonna do? Huh? I ain't ranking in the United States military in all the branches of service. We ain't talking about that ranking. That ranking, they ain't getting you but a whole lot of torment. The reality of this, once you have a clear picture after hearing what was read about this. Rank. Mm-hmm. What you been doing? Have you been studying? Have you been obedient? Have you been working on purification? What you been up? Or you just been playing? I just been playing ball, basketball for 20 years. Went to school for eight, no, for 8 years. No, more yet. High school, college, 16 years. Went to school 16 years. Graduated, stopped playing ball for 20 more years. And then after that, I retired. We just traveling all over the world, spending my money. Having a good time and not my soul and my spirit. But that would be going on in anybody's life. Thinking that they made it. Well, that concludes my chapter on.
Okay, before you begin, I'll express some comment. All of this is attainable for myself speaking. I'm in the third heaven already. So speaking to you is achievable. First is also achievable.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all on you what you achieve. It ain't on nobody else what you achieve. So if you want to live eternally, you can achieve it. If you don't care about living eternally, achieve it. This is just about knowing how you want to die and knowing where you want to be at in your ranking system.
Mm-hmm.
And then living that way in life for real.
Mm-hmm.
Not for play, and just every day. But I'm talking about you live it every day. Whatever obstacles come, it comes with it. It comes with the territory. In this material world, you fit for the third. And so that's myself. When it comes to this understanding, this is what I have peeled back for myself. Thought very important to me. I'm not saying that important to you, but these things are important to me. And this is why, again, K.O.S. is founded on divine law. Divine law. Despite the obstacles of the physical world, because you already did the test and passed the test of dying before.
Mm-hmm.
And to live out that knowledge is just my complete next step, as in towards the. But for my whole life, I've been not been able to be myself. I didn't, so I had to learn to know who I was, so I could be who I was. So now I know who I am. Now I can be who I am. All the way until you conquer yourself, as it was saying, it's called Fatiha.
Mm-hmm.
You will have a continuous battle within until you conquer yourself. And the battle is real. There's no battle in the external world. There's no Israel and Hamas. There's nothing going on external. That war that is happening to you. And you gonna have to conquer your own self. If not, your own self. And you will understand more as you take on the process and the devotions of the way. The way is fit for a practice that is suitable for living the way of divine life, and is suited for reaching immortality of the highest plane of the greater self. This is what we are want to achieve, the highest way of life that you, because they're not in the first heaven, they're not in the grave, they in the third heaven. All your great people that I understood their teachings, they in the third heaven. And I don't study nothing less than the third heaven at my stage I'm at right now. But we understand that those are like the sun move across the sky from sunrise to sunset. These are degrees that self has to master through discipline. You have to actually take charge of your own self. You have to actually restrain, do things that you would normally do. I normally do. I ain't talking no diddy talk. I'm talking self-discovery, giving away clothes, giving away shoes, giving away jewelry. These things on the physical to know for yourself that you on a divine way. I used to have hair, and long hair don't care.
Hey,
I chopped it for the way of devoted into. And so the is real and self is realer. So we want to understand the realest part of self and the truest part of self. And the only way you can get part of the realest part of self is through the true will. And we can move to our next instruction, 23.
That's a beautiful word, beautiful thoughts.
Law to Allah.
23. Prayer is for you. If all this is true, then please ask yourselves, am I ready for the life awaiting me after death? Question. Does your answer please you? Question. If it doesn't, then perhaps now is a good time to start preparing. But what does the question mark? Previously is related to the body replenish the brain's bioelectrical. For this energy is evaluated by the brain and uploaded to the wave body as knowledge and power. Due to this, when the brain stops working and becomes deactivated, i.e., when death is tasted, prayer becomes This is why the authors provide Sharia Islamic laws lose validity in the afterlife. For all proposals related to what is apparent have to do with the bioelectrical and biochemical structure of the brain. The Islamic faith rests first and foremost upon the foundation of knowing Allah, and then preparation for the afterlife.
Mm.
Allah's Rasul taught people how to live according to the Islamic faith and warned them against the losses they will incur. However, there is no being accountable for which governmental regimen one follows. Which governmental regimen one follows. One's faith does not depend on the regimen of the government. If that were the case, no one on the face of the earth, as there is no government observing an Islamic regimen.
Mm.
We should be mindful of the hadith. The Caliphate system will last 30 years after. Remember that religion is for the individual in their life after death. There will only be the individual. We must um, we must all try and understand, practice, and teach Islam to others. For most assuredly, every person is going to have to face the consequences of his actions. All acts in the name of prayer are for the sole purpose of preparing the spirit body for its journey after death. Let us now briefly discuss what prayer actually entails and the different types of prayer. 1. Prayers to free you from confining your existence to the body alone. 2. Prayers that supply beneficial bioelectrical energy to the brain. 3. Prayers that upload the brain's existing bioelectrical energy to the holographic wave body termed the spirit. 4. Prayers that enable reaching Allah or uniting with Allah, also referring to in Sufism, as to become mortalized with the morals of Allah, one with the universal cosmic consciousness. In this brief categorization, all activity pertaining to prayer is while the brain, the bioelectrical energy it needs and uploads it to the spirit, it also emits it in the form of means to its environment. If the necessary circuitry in one's brain during birth, then a sort of anti-gravitational, anti-magnetic energy, which will enable him to soar to the countless stars within the galaxy, freeing him from the magnetic field of the Earth. Otherwise, he would be doomed to entrapment with the sun for eternity. You will never see a deviation in sunnah, the mechanics of the law system. Quran 30. This verse is that the system of the law is applicable to the whole of humanity. It has been set up and working for billions of years. In this case, the individual has two options: either to order his life according to the system, live his worldly life by making use of certain practices to enable the future, or the system at all, to live our bodily activity. Those who fail to recognize the reality of religion or the system that enables preparation for life after death misconceive religion as a system in which the masses are managed and kept under. This, of course, goes as far as into the topic. Whereas, I repeat, religious prayers and practices are solely related to the requirements of the afterlife, not the regimens of worldly life. As a matter of fact, Muhammad Saleh spent his entire life following this. A. Allah, God, to worship Allah by deifying, offering, etc. is absolutely impossible because it does not exist. B. All activities carried out by the individual are the compulsory requirements of worshiping a deity God. Prayer should not be directed to a heavenly external in, in, ingratiating,
Appreciate.
ingratiating, ingratiating oneself with Him, but to prepare for a favorable future of eternity. The individual should die before dying from his distorted, illusionary self and to know his essence, origin, creator, Allah. Otherwise, it is inevitable for the person to die veiled from reality, a state from which he will never have the chance to escape. Indeed, let us know and understand with certainty that the teachings disclosed by Muhammad Sallallahu in the name of religion are way beyond the stories and tales passed on from generation to generation among the general public. Future generations will have a much clearer understanding of what it signifies. In fact, you will realize the validity of those truths once you take the time to conduct some personal research into related scientific resources and reflect on your findings.
Mhm, 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 mhm. And we got instruction 24. 24, that is the 60 the 66th name of Allah. Ikra. Ikra. This is where you hear the word Ikra. Well, Prophet, his false name Muhammad, was told to Ikra. That means read. And so he was told by the angel uh, Jibrail, Ikra. He was like, I can't read, I can't speak. That's just the story. That's not the real deal. The real deal was the wise scholar. The fake one was a illiterate prophet, as they would say. And no prophet is illiterate. Not from my heart back at research. So this is an important word for us. I don't want us just to slide over it. So you may not get to know this, or you may not ever get to. This is extremely advanced for afterlife right here. Let's put it this way: this is for practices for the afterlife. So that has nothing to do with this world. So this is a very, very sacred practice called the Dikra. The Dikra. The Dikra. And this means to harm. This is what we harm. So we're going to learn how does this pertain to the afterlife. What is the Ikra? Religion is not for attaining sovereignty. Religion is to attain the kingdom of heaven. And this is only possible by reaching, attaining the essential reality of one's self. Now, we have to understand the religion you have been given is not religion. These are dogmatas, and indoctrinations. A religion is supposed to give people exactly what it's supposed to give people, what it says it gives people: paradise. So I understand that people not in a religion because they don't have paradise. Because paradise is knowing about the beyond. And there's no afterlife for you. And the essential self is in the afterlife, or where it came, where it still is, and where your flesh is not. The flesh is not in the same place as the essential self. If so, your death wouldn't have to occur. Death is to show you that you have to essentially understand, essentially mean being able to sense your. So religion was supposed to give us this knowledge. And so all books are poor in this accomplishment, except for one book. And that's the Al-Sufian. I know because I've read and practiced holy teachings, not only from the Bible, but ancient India. So when we're talking about ancient India, this is where you get the word Indian from. People are Indians, that ain't got to do with, that got to do with spiritual knowledge. And this spiritual knowledge had to do with understanding what we're talking about, the kingdom of heaven. This has been spread far and wide by our Moorish ancestry. Our Moorish ancestry is in the third heaven, the Sufian heaven. So if you highest essence of your self, you're going to have to attain the knowledge of the self. There's no way around it. And that's literally if you want a future. If you want a future, then there's no way around knowledge of the self. So we may ask, how do we get knowledge of self? Via the brain. Our success will be determined by the extent to which we educate our brain capacity. See, your success. This is why I found out why I wasn't successful. Knowledge. I was the appropriate knowledge, and always applying the wrong knowledge in the right place or be a failure every time. Yeah. Understand is, how do we attain knowledge? By educating your brain. So the wider the scope, of our education capacity, the more sub view things, and the stronger, allowing us to know the knowledge of Allah. This is how we're supposed to conquer the battles from within. We are supposed to educate ourselves that we no longer have a battle fighting within. It's getting you to ruin your situation on the Creator has placed divine people all around who do not want to understand knowledge. They want to be overly bodily in exercise, and that's fine. You have to understand you wasn't designed that way, so you're gonna always have a incapacity or because the insecurity is coming from, and if self is, then we don't even know what Allah is. So please don't say you know what God is, because the youth will not have to struggle into coming into an understanding of what this laid out is successful. The people who don't have the book or don't understand the book, and we wonder why you are successful and they are successful. And see, this is what most selves can't do. But I had to buckle myself up and do it. And that's because I care about something greater than myself. It's the greater that pushes the higher that pushes the lesser. It's a unit of life, like sleep, dream, and awake. And you must get through all to get to your greater self. This is the essence. We're talking about the essence where you can see yourself. This is the power of you educating your brain that your spirit is strong, that you actually have the knowledge of Allah. You will know it unless you complete it and do the completely. So this is the next sentence says, but how will such progress take place in the brain? As I have thoroughly in my book, A Guide to Prayer, in D-Ikra, through the practice known as D-Ikra. Indeed, is the key to all of the above. Primarily, D-Ikra is known to be a repetition of certain and names of Allah. Its second meaning entails remembering and to reflect on. That's the mind. Furthermore, it means to elaborate, dwell on a meaning, such that it yields deep, comprehensive contemplation. And you're not going to be able to do that driving a car. You're not going to be able to do that walking around. You got to watch where your feet going. You got to make sure your body's safe. So you got to be still. And this is what a lot of people don't understand from people who are still. That it's a great spirit that has to occur for you to become still. You have to create that from a large capacity of repetition action. It's like building. If you keep your phone on a charger, it gets charged. But if you put the charger into the phone and then take it right back out, This is what we do in our life. We're never capacitating ourselves with knowledge. Knowledge gives the ability for the self to rest. Without knowledge, there is no rest. Self is a restless ethereal life form. It don't know no stop. Create from or it's greater. And this is comprehensive contemplation. You can't get to Allah without contemplating. And thinking is different than contemplating. Thinking is thinking of a thought. Contemplating is dwelling on a knowledge. And you are getting through the progression of contemplation. It said, ye are the temple of God. This means temple is the same word as contemplation. Your temple is the one who can contemplate. And these ain't taught because they don't care about you or they don't care about your soul. I've been doing this for over 13 years as far as expressing it, not only to myself, but to others. I've been doing it 18 years for myself, 13 years to others. And in 13 years, there's not understanding of what is truly needed in order for self to truly grow. So we don't have large contemplation time. A 9 to 5. You might got one child. You busy. You got this place to go. You got that dentist. You got that appointment. You got that game. See, you don't have no more time for self. So you couldn't understand me. So when we need to understand, we have to understand from self-awareness. Not you thinking I'm thinking I'm you. You need to be yourself and be aware of what self is aware of. And this is what can in the altitude. The next line says, here are some verses from the Quran in regards to the importance of deed. O believers, let not your word or your children make you oblivious of the remembrance of Allah. Allah, remembrance of your divine self. And the necessary practices that accompany this. The Ikra. Alhamdulillah. Ilhamid. And whoever does this, it is they who are the losers.
Losers. That's not good. Good word there.
Yeah, we don't like that word.
Loser.
That's right.
Time and time again.
They being the concepts and the ideals that you worship in your mind will say, Sufian. It is not possible for us to take sides any allies. But when you provided comforts for them and their fathers, they forgot the knowledge of self caused in body pleasures, fleshly pleasures, eventually leading to self-ruin, self-destruction, divine instruction. And whoever is blinded, without instructions, is composed of the divine name of Allah. And thus, from living the requirements of this, we appoint for him a delusion. The idea that he is only the and that life should be lived in the pursuit of fleshly pleasures. And this self-belief will become his new false idea. And indeed, these who carry these from the way, Al-Sufian, the way which there is no doubt, as guidance to those who respect knowledge and beauty. That was from the Al-Sufian right there. Back to the way of guidance, the path to self-knowledge, Islam. While they think that they are rightly guided. And see, that's the point with a lot of our people who have taken these books as forms of idols.
Yep.
They ain't became what's in the book. They talking about what's in the book.
That's what they do.
And what they talk about in the book is greater than them.
That's right.
See, what I know is I'm greater than Christ. All of that motive, you ain't even doing nothing. If you don't understand that you supposed to be in your works in Jesus Christ, then you don't understand the scriptures. But the preacher not. So you gonna listen to the preacher or you gonna listen to Jesus?
Hey.
So I listened to Jesus, and Jesus said exactly what you said. You shall do greater works. So we have to understand what is the works that he accomplished. Because if we don't know those, then we won't even know if we're doing something great. So what did Jesus accomplish? Let's go to our churchgoers who've been going for over 50 years. What did Jesus? And it wasn't dying for your sins. That's blasphemy. So we have to understand the Christ, Satan. The Christ, Satan, is what you have to understand in order to understand what was the works of Jesus. Was Jesus Christ or was... So when we come into the topic at hand on the second paragraph, it says Satan, which is the idea of being a flesh identity, himself, and made self of Allah, all are. Their own reality of which they have been reminded, and that they will abandon their flesh and humanity as spirit compromised of Allah's divine name. Those acquaintances of Satan, the advocates of corporeal reality, those who only think of as the physical flesh. Beware, for most assuredly, the party of Satan will be for the losers. How many people walking around right now? They the flesh. That's 99% of the people. You think you the flesh, meaning you ain't did nothing of the works of Christ. That's what Satan didn't know, that he was spirit. So when we are talking about understanding what you need to know, that you are beyond even your own self, even your own flesh. The absence of remembrance in the is probably the biggest lack in our life. Those whose brains are deprived of the power of the ikra are easily susceptible of the jinn. Under the astrological influence of Satan denotes a much bigger reality than one may assume. See, this is deep knowledge being said as we're reading. The Quran clearly states that the human race is under the direct manipulation of the jinn. The jinn means self-deceit. You are deceiving yourself. Ain't nobody else deceiving you. Nobody wasn't deceiving me but me. Once self-knowledge, deception ceases. Manipulation stops. So when we understand you from all of and people's personal bad habits. The day when Allah resurrects them all, He will say to them, O community of jinn, the collective spirits of jinn, you have truly possessed most of human beings. The only and most powerful weapon man has against the jinn, who appear most often in the skies of ancient aliens or extraterrestrials coming out beings, is the ikra. The ikra. The most observable feature of those who are under the influence of the jinn is the absurdity of their speech, which lacks logical coherency, conformity, and is contradictory. This is where most people. I'm ashamed at these points because for me myself, I've given a whole lot into one's self growth, unmatched by any of your relatives, siblings, anyone that you know. They don't care about your self growth more than I care about you growing. I will sit with you like I am now and read with you. I done did all this. I want you to get it. This is open public meetings on Fridays and Sundays. I do private study. Well, this is 24/7. So 2 days for a public invitation for you to come study so you can know for yourself to start contemplating on a different thinking vibration. Because our people ain't making no sense from old to young.
Say that again.
And this is why they filled with jinns from those texts that they've been appreciating and idolizing and fleshly worshiping. This thing is real down here. And you, the only one, can stop you. Even yourself can't stop you. I stopped myself. The self didn't stop me. It was gone. I had to. So when I put self in part, self part. And I begin to see power developing physical eyes. The human eyes can't see what's uploading from the brain into the spirit. And people don't know who people is. If they did, you would definitely break your back if you knew who they were. So this is why things are veiled down here, because you'll never get the real from a person if you wasn't veiled. So when you are veiled, this is where you can see who's who. Because if they knew who you were, they would treat you like they knew. But since you are veiled, they don't know who you are, so they can say, do, and feel any way contrary to what he says. This is on you, not on me. What's on me is I. This is what we have to answer for our. And I cleaned mine up. The dirt that was on my white clothes, I cleaned that dirt off. Scrubbing of 18 years from battling within to no longer having no battle. That all is heavy. But this takes a growth and development of serious consciousness of hardcore metaphysics to actually liberate yourself. And the paragraph says he called to his Rabbah, the reality names comprising the divine self. Indeed, Satan, the feeling of the being, this flesh, has given the flesh hardship and torment. See, anybody flesh experiencing hardship and torment?
Oh, yes.
That ain't your spirit. Allah made your flesh to enjoy the gifts of the spirit. And you don't know who you are. So you identify with not. And say, my Rabbah, I seek refuge in you, the protect from the incitements of the devils to corporeality. And I seek refuge in you, the protective names with my essence, in case they'll be present with me, which is the earth's atmosphere from every rebellious Satan. That's why you down here, away from the sun. Cigarettes are the most prominent source of smoke nutrition. Due to this of cigarette smoke.
You look good there. What you say?
Again, the ikra and prayer is the only way one can protect any influence. From any influence. This is your only divine practice and method given by Al-Sufian. Prayer and ikra enable the brain to produce a protective energy which can shield the brain thoughts sent by the jinn, the spirits, either by weakening these incoming thoughts or by preventing the thought altogether. See how they come and ruin?
Yeah. Get in your mind. You're doing foolish stuff. That's why the mind is so bombarded. Oh, I just want to say something to you were saying about when you read that earlier. And upload. See, upload, download. Mostly everything we get from jinns is download. But you said something caught my ear. You said, upload. Oh, yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir. Oh,
How you
yes.
playing?
Oh, yes. That's all I want to say.
Hey, that's beautiful. All right. It's 2:00. We gotta
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's, we got these last two sentences and we'll finish off. I'm glad
I'm
you
gonna
said
hush
it.
though.
And we got it on the record. In fact, the protective energy omitted by the brain during the ikra forms a field of protection around the self.
Look at
Indeed,
that.
in life, develop and enhance our brain with and thereby to know ourselves and our environment. For our brain possesses potential that is beyond our imagination.
What you said?
If we can only harness,
Ooh, we.
may we gain insight into the reality of man, his makeup, his system called mechanism, qualities called character, and how to optimize them through ikra and prayer. See, and that's the true meaning of why we got the word dick.
Yeah.
The word dick is not for you to physically use.
Woo-hoo.
Dick is this word right here.
Beautiful. Yes.
It's the true dick.
Yes, indeed. I'm glad you said that.
That's the ikra. And this is how you have a self orgasm by self, through self, in self,
Beautiful.
and without any other self.
Beautiful.
In the name of Allah, the divine creator, we close Islam.
Beautiful.